with the remakes, that discussion is very long. I don't mind remakes. If we could, have new IPs, I would prefer that 100% of the time. But I also get the appeal. Sometimes I even, want to relive the experience that I've had before, like so many years ago.
Relieved though, no altered.
Yes, yes,
Listen to your words, right?
yes, I am.
Relieved. And that's why I want to shout out to Todd Howard. I'm not doing it like, I know one of
Todd
my friends
Howard.
now. Yeah, one of my friends now are gonna hate me about it.
Okay.
But he came out and say that
16 times the detail.
yeah, I'm not
Sorry.
talking about that bullshit. But it's a good shout out though, because he said, I don't want to remake the experience. When he did the Oblivion, he did a remaster. He said, I just want to bring to the new audience, new graphics, whatever, but the experience, the same experience that the people in 2005, 2006, when it was released, I don't remember, that they had back then, you know?
Mhm.
And that's the most important thing in my eyes. The most of the people that I'm discussing about it, they're saying that they would rather have a new experience. Yeah, but if you want a new experience, it's not an Oblivion game
Yeah.
anymore. It's not an Elder Scrolls anymore. You will do
I,
something different. Go play something different.
I haven't played Oblivion, uh, but from what I've heard, that they wanted the experience to be as close, apart from graphically, of course, to Oblivion,
Yeah.
to the original. So there are bugs that are left from the original
Yeah.
Oblivion into the new Oblivion. Like there were bugs that would let you duplicate items or just duplicate gold or
If
multiply gold or whatever, and they kept those in the game just so you can have the same, as close experience
even
to
the
the
game
original.
breaking,
Yeah,
even
the
the
game
game
breaking.
breaking
Yes,
bugs,
yes.
that you can be OP in hours, whatever, and then you will be
Yeah,
in
yeah,
minutes, whatever, and then you can exploit the whole game. They knew what they were doing. The whole experience is there.
yeah, yeah.
And but it's more refined, a little bit more refined than in a new engine,
Of
and
course.
that's it. But he needs to get shouted about it. I mean, it's just like he's good. That's a good thinking, in my opinion. That's
Yeah.
how you need to bring the old experience to the new people.
Yes, that's how you need
Refined,
to
but not
make.
change.
That's how you need to make the remakes. Yes, you don't need. Actually, you cannot change the whole game and just call it a remake. It needs to be close to the original, so the new gamers can appreciate. Actually, the old gamers can, have the nostalgia and appreciate the game and what you've made, and the new players can experience the remake and actually get what the old gamers are talking about when they're talking about these games. They need to make a game, a remake. Even if you have to make a remake, we are not huge fans, but if you have to make a remake, you need to make the game in such a manner that it's a bridge between generations.
Yeah,
You
very
need
good
to make
examples.
you need to make the game like that so that the new gamers can connect with the old ones, and
Exactly.
the old gamers can say to the new ones that this is what we're talking about. This is the game I've played when I was a kid.
And I think the only two studios that they nailed that thing, honestly, is Capcom with the Resident Evil series.
Hmm.
Resident Evil 2 remake was amazing game. Completely changed, but it was,
Yeah, it's
it was
great.
still felt like a Resident Evil 2. Even the
Hmm.
people that they play Resident Evil 2 with that had the top down camera, now they have the third person camera, but it still felt like you were playing Resident Evil 2. It wasn't out of place.
Hmm.
And then the other game that actually baffled everyone, it was from Bloober Team when they did the Silent Hill 2. The Silent Hill 2 was insanely good
Yes.
remake. Everyone was saying that. Even one content creator that we both know, that we know that he's a very fan of this game,
Hmm.
he praised it. And
Yeah.
when you have people like that literally this game changed their lives, as they were talking about. You
Mm,
know, you know, when they praise it and they accept it as a product, even though it was a remake and it didn't have the same, well, it wasn't the same game as it was back in 2000s,
of
and
course.
they say good things about it, it means that they did an amazing job. I don't have problems
Yes.
with these kind of remakes, but
Yeah,
just
yeah.
don't come in and change the principles of the game, the main principles, the gameplay, whatever. You cannot do that. Refined it, yeah, because you need to bring the 2000s game back to 2026 standards for people to play, but don't ruin the magic,
Yes.
you know.
It's a very fine line. It's a very fine line, but it's a very fine line also at the same time it's not so hard to, to achieve. It's very hard to make the game as it was and capture the feeling. That's the hard part. But to go over the line and add things that shouldn't be there, that weren't there in the first place, that's when you cross the line and people are not satisfied with the game that they receive.
Yeah.
You have you have so many gamers that actually straight up don't recommend the remakes and just recommend the players to just find a way to play the old games.
Yeah,
And I
just go play
completely,
the old games. Yeah,
yeah, I completely agree. So in some cases, I completely agree. You should play the original
when you can, actually,
when
when
you
you
can.
can do
Yes,
it, because there is
because
some games
sometimes
that
you
they,
can't.
yeah, some games they can't, you cannot do it. There is, I mean, you can do it, but you need to struggle. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You need to put your mind back to how it used to be, and that's
yeah.
how you need to play the game. Otherwise, you will not gonna survive even 1 hour. You will you will uninstall this
I mean,
immediately.
yeah. So some games, even though we've loved them and we've played them as children, and we've had great experiences and we've kept great memories from them, they have aged very badly.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
definitely.
and I completely get, like, in those games that have aged badly, if you make remakes of them, but at the same time, you shouldn't really mess it up.
Yeah,
Like, you should try to find each aspect of the game that makes the game what it is, and then try to bring it to now. It is hard, but I don't know. Companies have shown the struggle that they completely miss the mark.
yeah.
Like, it's not that they can't do it; they miss the mark and they do something else. You know what I mean?
I mean, they have other problems, and I think that's why they focus so much on remasters, because Capcom is not like that. But or it might was for one point, but now they're not like that. But I have a feeling that we kneeling way too much on we rely
Mm,
way too much on remasters and remakes to come and save us. Why we need the past to come and save your misreads from community or whatever, the wrongdoings that you did on your recent games? Why you need the past to come and save you? Just from nostalgia, obviously. That's obviously is rhetorical,
yeah,
the
yeah.
question. We know what is the answer, but I just don't get it. Just listen to player feedback. Try to make a nice game. You've been around, you're a studio, A, B, C studio. You've been around 20 years. You should know what player wants, what player hates. You cannot just make mistakes and spending 200 millions and millions of dollars, go to the trash bin without even like make a research of what your player want. You know what I mean?
I think they've been making remakes because it's cheaper, and they with something cheaper they can make just the same amount of money, even more, from a new IP. So I get it from the perspective that it's a lower risk, since you have already something that worked before and you can remake it cheaply, so you can make money again like 20 years after. But this is not how the industry is going to move on forward. And it's kind of troubling, because even though we've seen, actually no, we haven't seen fewer remakes in the past few years. We've seen a lot of remakes and remasters, and it seems like the industry is kind of relying heavily on them just to
Yeah.
keep moving forward. I wouldn't mind if they would release like frequently new IPs, and they've stuck in the remake, just to make extra money. I mean, that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. But
I th-
don't rely so heavily on the remakes that you don't release any new IPs.
yeah. Now we
That's
have either remakes, remasters, or we have franchises. That's what we do. We farming the names way too much,
mhm.
and that's where the franchise fatigue comes.
Yeah, yeah,
Just leave them for 5-10 years, and just come back to them when you can build actual hype with something new. And before that, just try to make a nice experience, make nice games, new games, completely new experiences, and then after 10 years come up and say, you know what, we'll have a new Assassin's Creed, a new Far Cry, you know
yeah.
and it's gonna be actually new. Then people that will be like, oh, we haven't got an
And
Assassin's Creed for 10 years now, so
yeah, because right now
I'm
we
down.
get them every 2 or 3 years, and it's like
Yeah.
it's not it's
Or
not
just
the especially for Assassin's Creed, the standard has dropped dramatically from
yeah.
what we remember from Black Flag and before Black Flag. The
Yeah.
standard has dropped so much, and it's
all
not
i'm
it's not the
all I'm
same anymore.
trying to say all I'm trying to say is, like, we need more people like Thomas Muller, the CEO from Moon Studios.
Mm.
The ambition of this guy to come in and make something new all the time, that he wants to improve the genre that he's working on. Like, if you actually see some of his interviews, you can understand how, when he's giving a lot of insight about game dev, of how Metroidvanias, it wasn't very good games, and they came up with the idea of Oris, and they just, you know bring back the whole genre in, and everyone start, like, since then start making Metroidvanias. Like Team Seri did the Silk Song, Hollow
Hmm.
Knights and stuff, and all other, like, studios, they started working after him, in Metroidvania. But that's the thing. It's just, now, for example, because I forgot to say what we've been playing is one of those games that I forgot to mention. I started playing No Rest for the Wicked, which is basically a game, which is an ARPG, like how is Path of Exile or Diablo,
Hmm.
this kind of genre. And he comes in and say, we've been keep playing the same game, we have the same movement, we have the same, it's the same point and click experience for the last 20 years. And that's, we rely too much on these mechanics, and maybe we need to make the step forward.
Hmm.
So what he wanted to do, he just wanted to, for you to fully control your character with animation based combat, and obviously it's a little bit more Souls likey, don't get me wrong, but you can actually build your character so overpowered that you cannot feel that you're playing a Souls like. But it's just a fresh, just a fresh game. It's a fresh experience. Like, you playing it and you're like, I've been playing ARPGs for the last 10 years, and all of them, they have uh, the same, like, the same gameplay. They don't change too much. The only thing that they change is systems, because he was giving a very good reference about Diablo 2, and how Diablo 2 was the grandfather of and one of the most important games in the genre. And then he was saying how all the games that they came after Diablo 2, until now, that we have, like, 2025, 2026, until now, all the games that they coming, they have the same pattern, then the same gameplay with this game, with Diablo 2, which was a 99, 1999 game or 2000s, I don't remember. Reimagine.
Somewhere like that.
For 20 years, 20 plus years, we're playing the same way, but the only thing that we changed the
2000.
scale.
Yeah.
The only thing that changed the scale is 10x the content, but the way that we're playing is the same.
Yes, yes.
That's what we need. We need ambitious like developers and development teams. We need like these people that they will come again forward and they will make new games. And in my opinion, as you said it so many times, and I said it as well, we will not gonna find those people on AAA space. I think we will see a lot of innovations, a lot of new games, a lot of like amazing experience from AA studios and indies.
It must be corporate, right? So
Definitely is corporate.
yeah, so in big corporations on AAA studios, you have people in suits. Don't get me wrong. Um, you need to have someone in charge.
Yeah.
Um, you need to have someone that makes the big decisions and so far and so forth. But when you have two, three, four, five, 10 of these guys around, and it's basically a filter, right? So
Yeah.
first guy, he says yes to some things, no to some things, and then goes to the next guy and to the next guy to the next guy, and you have a very sterilized idea by the end of that cycle, and maybe they talk to each other and it goes round and around, and the idea stays a bit sterilized at the end. That's what I think is the biggest, as far as creation and innovation goes. That's the biggest pain that goes through at the AAA studios. AA studios, on the other hand, if the development team is like 30 people, 40 people, there's probably going to be one guy
Even the
on.
CEO working on
Yeah,
these
even the
projects.
CEO
Yeah.
working, yeah. So there's probably one or two people being heads of the development team. If those people, like, let's say it's just one CEO, man or woman, if they are open-minded and they are creative enough to either create themselves or allow their team to be creative and do their own thing in the game, I think we have 100 times more innovation and creative ideas in the space. And we've seen that in the past 2 or 3 years. We've seen so many AA productions that have been amazing, and they have been beating the competition, blowing AAA games out of the water.